Stuart Charity. I'm the Executive Director of the Australian Automotive Aftermarket Association. Independent repair and service businesses right across Australia are facing a number of serious challenges at the moment, including the technological advancement of vehicles, the skills and training gaps, and also the predatory behaviour of the car companies. For these reasons, we believe the time is right to form a truly national group that exclusively represents the interests of independent repairers around the country. And we've done that by forming a group called the Automotive Repair Council of Australia, or ARCA. The main activities of ARCA are to protect consumer choice and competition in the vehicle repair and service market by ensuring that we have mandated access to dealer level repair and service information, and to really put the spotlight on some of the anti-competitive behaviour of the car companies, including their cap price and free service programs, and also warranty confusion and misinformation. One of the activities that we'll be doing is leveraging our relationship with parts suppliers so that we can deliver technical and training nights around the country, and we've also got a number of initiatives in place to start to address the skills gaps in the industry. One of the benefits will be that we'll be doing research to help identify initiatives that can be implemented in ARCA members' businesses to help them improve their profitability and business performance. Well, if you're a progressive repairer that cares about the future of our industry, then you need to join ARCA, and together we'll make sure that there's a bright future for everyone in our industry.
Hey everybody, welcome. Welcome to the AAAA seminars. You're all excited? Yeah. Oh yeah, look at that, that's really good. My name is Colin Bockman, I'm the facilitator of the seminars, and I'll tell you how it's going to run and why we're doing it. And thank you for coming along for this very important one, which is on scan tools. Now we love scan tools, don't we? Because we love having at least a half a dozen of them. We love spending $4 or $5 grand on them. And we'd all love to know which one to buy. Now, I'm going to tell you right now that you're going to be disappointed if you think that there's an iSelect for scan tools, because there isn't. What we've discovered is that there are different scan tools for different reasons, and so what we've tried to do is put a program together for you today here, which is based on some of the principles about scan tools. Yes, we're going to have some guys talking about specific ones. We're going to talk about Mount Auto, we're going to talk about G-Scan and their philosophy, and a little bit of information on it. We're going to look at AutoLogic and their system and how they support. And then we're going to look at something which is really unique. We've got a gentleman over here from the Collision Repair Organisation. I said, are you sure you're at the right seminar? Collision Repair's in the next room. He said, no, I need to know about scan tools. Because when cars are crashed and so forth, we've got to work out what to do with them and so forth. I said, got it. I said, you're going to be really interested in our last presenter, which is scan data, which is virgin data. So you've got something to compare with. We're moving to a brand new world. We're moving to a world of electronics. We're moving to a world of communication between the vehicles internally and between each other. And we're looking at all kinds of things. Who of you know what telematics is? Okay, now for those at the front, if you turned around, it probably had 10% of the hands. Telematics is the elephant in the room. Yeah? Telematics is where the car talks to a satellite down here. Let me give you a little example of telematics. Oh, we've got any New Zealanders in the room. Oh, good, this is a New Zealand story, okay? South Island New Zealanders, what are South Island New Zealanders like? They're pretty down-to-earth people, okay? Now, how many of you know about tractors? What's the tractor to buy? You've got to buy a John Deere, yeah? So let's take a South Island farmer in his John Deere tractor out in his farm. And he gets a phone call on his mobile. Who's this? Yep, mate, who's that? Hi, my name is John. I'm calling from the United States. That golly hell are you, or words to that effect, right? Mate, just thought I'd give you a call. Your vehicle is overloaded. You're putting too much pressure on the transmission. You're towing it too great a weight. Where are you? Where are you? You watching me? You stalking me? What are you on about? What's this shit? Oh, his language, right? He said, well, you'll avoid your warranty, sir, if you overload the transmission. How do you know I'm overloading the transmission? He said, well, the data tells us. What data? He said, well, the telematics. Now, that guy, by chance, was a little upset. He didn't like the idea of Big Brother watching him. So he took his John Deere down to the dealer and said, if you can't turn this jolly stuff off, and once again to use another adjective, if you can't turn this jolly stuff off, I want you to take the vehicle back. The guy said, I can do that, but he said, then you void your warranty. Go down from extended to less. What is the manufacturer doing by having telematics installed? They're controlling the market to keep us out. So these are the things that we're looking for the future. I'm not looking forward to that. But that's where we're going. That's what's happening. So we've got to be careful with our technology. We've got to understand what our customers are thinking. We've got to understand how to communicate with them. And to do that, you've got to make selections about what's appropriate for you. What's appropriate for your business format. Now, I'm going to ask you for a show of hands now, and it's not a fun one. This is a serious one. I just want you to put your hand up. It's not wrong or right, but it just gives you an indication. How many of you have got up to 2 scan tools? Right, okay, that's the majority. How many of you have got 3 or more scan tools? Right, okay. Now, hands up if you've got, and thank you for this is helping us get a bit of a weighting on who's here. How many of you have got a smoke machine? Right, that's pretty much those same hands as the second lot. And how many of you have got a standalone oscilloscope? Yeah, can you see the concentration? Okay. See, what that tells us, they're indicators for us to give us an indication of where you're at on the diagnostics ladder. If you're under 2 scan tools, there's a good chance on the diagnostics ladder you're in a bit of trouble. Because you're probably going to find yourself only working on vehicles up to about 205, 08 and so forth. Anything above that's going to get above you. And what's happening right now is all these vehicles are coming down with the more technology in them. We've got 2 tipping points, 05 and 12. About 2012, we've got the major tipping point, when the major technology started to come in. And so that's what we're talking about today. How do you prepare? Where do you want to play in the sandpit? How do you prepare for how your business is going to unfold? And what do you want to play in what area? I spoke to a guy just a little while ago, I don't know if he's still here, but he's got to specialise in BMW. I'm not suggesting you've got to specialise, but you've got to think about, what do I want to do? What vehicles do I want to work on? And what do I need in the way of tools, support and knowledge? So that's what today's about. However, we've got to have some specific presentations. Firstly, we're going to start off with, phone number. If you want to ask a question, you need to text me. So if you want to write this phone number down, you ready? Ladies, write this number down. Okay, you want to write this number down? It's 0418 318 799. Text me. If we can put your question in, I will. If we can't, well, you have to understand. But I think that's what we're going to try and do. First up to present to us is Ben Hanson from Mount Auto Equipment, who have a lot of equipment and have a lot of stuff that they do. But he's going to give us some information on the G-Scan product and their thinking process behind it. After that, then, we'll have a look at, as I said, we'll have a look at AutoLogic, and then we'll look at scan data. So, Ben, do you make your way across over here, please? Please give him a welcome. Ben from AutoLogic.
Thanks very much, Colin. Okay, first I'd like to start with a couple of questions just to add to Colin's questions there. The guys who have got the scan tools, who is also doing J2534 programming or diagnostics? There's a few there. Who knows their scan tool is capable of FlexRay communication protocols?
Half a hand.
Down here. And who's aware of their scan tool being capable of FD CAN or flexible data rate CAN?
No hands, he swears.
So most of our scan tools are covering the controller and network protocols, but within a couple of years we've got to be looking at flexible data rate CAN, which is coming in on all vehicles within by 2019-20. So just to give us an idea, look, the demands on a scan tool in a workshop are very, very high now. In the old days it was diagnostic trouble codes and reading live data, and that's still very important. It has to be very accurate, especially on the data side of it. But in 2017 it has to be more than that. So it doesn't matter whether you're working on brakes or whether you're working on engines or transmissions, or there's going to be many special functions that you need to cover in your diagnostic tool. And it's important, some of the guys out there who put their hand up and had less than 2 tools, there's a good chance they bought the right tool for their workshop when they did their homework and bought that scan tool. If there are other guys out there who have bought 5 or 6 or 7 or scan tools and are yet to find that one that's covering that large percentage for them in their shop. So, no, there's no perfect scan tool. The cars are too smart, there's too many systems, too many functions. We're trying to do specialised systems on over 50, 55 manufacturers in this country. And if you're looking to try and do everything, it's unrealistic to ask one scan tool to do all that to the highest level. But you can get better than others. It's important here at the AAA, the questions are asked, the homework's done, what vehicles you're seeing coming in today and working on today, you've got to be prepared for what you've got to cover for tomorrow as well. So, getting that decision wrong can be costly. Yeah, you've got to buy another, it'll be short term before you buy another scan tool. You're sending work down the road to the guy who does have a scan tool that's suiting the vehicles you're seeing, or getting someone coming in and paying them for it. So that best scan tool for yourself, it might not be the cheapest one, it might not be the most expensive one, but the best thing is ask the questions, find out what vehicles you're covering. If you're a BMW specialist or a Maserati specialist, you're going to be buying a different scan tool to the Toyota or Isuzu specialist. But that doesn't mean the Toyota or Isuzu tool is at any lower level as far as diagnostics. It still has to be at a high level. So G-Scan 2, this is a professional level tool, a universal scan tool covering Asian, Japanese, so Korean, Japanese, Australian, Malaysian, Indian, European, American, Chinese, a whole range of vehicles, cars, trucks, hybrids, electric, petrol engines, high pressure petrol, diesel engines, common rail diesel, all within the one tool to a very, very high level. So ourselves at Mount Auto Equip Services, we're based in Brookvale on the Northern Beaches. We're the importers of a number of diagnostic brands, including G-Scan product range. And we're together, we're a specialist team of technicians. We have over 100 years experience within the industry. We're not just there to sell machines, we're there to back them up, support them. If you've got an issue after sale, there's the technical support available and someone to contact for when you need that help, which is quite important. So with the G-Scan 2, just a bit of information on who's behind the system. It's made in Korea, South Korea, by the same company manufacturing the OEM tools for Hyundai and Kia. Global Information Technology. And recently we were in Korea and we were able, given the opportunity to tour their premises of manufacturing, research and development. Very, very professional company of the highest level quality control. In their foyer, down in the base of the building, they had all their OEM tools on display. And right in the centre is the aftermarket version of the G-Scan 2. Very proud of it. It goes to over 190 countries around the world now. Definitely not just another scan tool. It's a multi-function professional diagnostic system. And covering, for this market, is definitely covering these vehicles to the highest level. And we've got feedback coming back from dealerships who have bought the machines from us and who are comparing them alongside their OEM systems. Very, very happy with it, to the point where some of their guys are going for the aftermarket G-Scan 2 over their diagnostic tool because of their favouritism for the menu layout. So it's growing at a very, very fast rate. G-Scan 2 is getting bigger and bigger. Originally they came into the country in 2009 with the G-Scan 1. It was actually the actual OEM system for Hyundai and Kia. Primarily Asian-based, and from there, there's been software development teams around the world, including coming visiting Australia on a regular basis and enhancing that program to the point where it is today, 2017, to a very, very high level. And you'll find functions in there. The gentleman from the collision repair, you'd be interested to hear some of the systems, some of the functions going in there now, including lane departure warning system calibrations and that sort of thing, which is windscreen changes when they're in the accidents and windscreens need to be changed, becoming standard practice, target calibration. So that's another area where we've got to be looking at tomorrow and looking ahead. So when we're looking for a scan tool, just go through a few of the things that are important. There has to be, with the G-Scan 2, there's a number of kit options available. It's not just one kit suits all. You've got options for, basically the conversations need to be had, what's going to suit you best. If you have other areas covered and you need to cover specific items, then there's going to be a kit available for you, whether it's just with OBD2 connector, whether it's with, whether you're covering trucks, whether you're covering cars or both. You need to cover J2534, you need, you might be a locksmith covering security systems. Just do key programming. Oscilloscope options, you can add in, you can buy up front, that sort of thing. So there's intermediate level oscilloscope, there's advanced level oscilloscope. So there's options available, and it's a matter of discussing what you need for your workshop. There will be a kit available to suit your needs best. There's also a new device which was on the front screen, which was the G-Scan tab. So that's just a new release tablet as a Bluetooth device which will operate to a Windows 10 operating system, either tablet or laptop. So look, from our point of view as a technician, we still favour being hardwired in for some of these advanced functions to minimise any data packet loss during uploads or transfers, but some guys come to us and say it has to be Bluetooth, we just want Bluetooth. There's an option for Bluetooth. Take that with the knowledge that there are going to be times when you will need that physical connection to minimise any loss of data. Things like HIM programming or HVAC programming, where you're actually transferring files, J2534, transferring information to the vehicle from the device. So coverage, capability, what are the main things that you need to cover? Colin mentioned the OEM information. There still can be restrictions in areas, we're all aware of that. But are you aware exactly how far you can go? Because if you're not maximising your opportunities in what you can cover. There is a lot of information that you can access if you know the right areas to go. There is a lot of programming that you can do if you know where to go and you have the right equipment. So it's important to ask the questions today. The guys downstairs, that's what we're here for. So that information can be passed across, and you do have that information to go back with and make sure you're maximising every opportunity to make money in your shop. So, the professional level tool now it's not just a scan tool to service vehicles, but it should be there to make you money. A customer who bought a G-Scan 2 recently, he'd had it for 2 months. 2 months he came back, I saw him a second time, and he told me how he just paid for it just paid for itself 2 months after he had it. And then I saw him again 2 years after he'd bought, and his statement was that it had paid for itself 35 to 40 times over for him. So he's grabbed this tool and he's gone out into the marketplace and he's gone, I can make money with this thing, and he's calculated it out on how much money he can make, and he's raking in. Very, very smart businessman. He's gone in targeted areas and using the tool to generate as much profit as he possibly can. So it's you've got a powerful device, you've got a powerful scan tool. It's a matter of knowing that system best, having the right information to go with it, and then charging accordingly. It's some of the functions that we've got to cover now, just as standard service functions, body system configurations, particulate filter regenerations, injector coating on common rail, some of the high pressure gasoline engines, we've got to do injector coating on the petrol engines. Pilot learning, small quantity learning, injection quantity learning, service functions. They should be done on certain engines as part of a service. Key programming, central locking programming, steering angle sensor, yaw sensor calibration, clutch and brake pedal, position learning, idle learning, transmission adaptive resets, module coding, programming. The expectations of a scan tool is massive, and we need to be at that level looking ahead. All those functions, calculate that out over petrol, gasoline, diesel, hybrids, electrics, 12 volt, 24 volt. The expectation in one single scan tool is enormous. And it's important you've got the right equipment to maximise your capabilities. So. When you're looking at scan tools, the important thing is to be aware of is your update periods and how to access your updates. With the update periods that are offered, how much are they going to be? Are they real? The free update periods, some of the, is it a true free period being offered with the tool? Quite important to make sure you're aware of that. If I don't update every year, will I be penalised? Best thing to do is ask the questions, get the calculator out, work it out over a 2, 3, 4 year period, how much it's going to cost you over that time. Some tools will be quite expensive, other tools will be relatively cheap. So, the software updates that do come through, what level of software are they at? Is it controlled to be accurate, reliable? Some updates will come through, say the G-Scan for instance, a software function or update that makes the tool, doesn't make the tool unless it's been tested on vehicle by a software engineer somewhere in the world. If it hasn't been tested, it'll sit in a pending area until it actually gets tested on that vehicle. So if you've got that function written on the screen when you connect it to that vehicle, you have the confidence it's been tested somewhere and proven. Might be a key programming on a 2016 Hilux or something. You know that that's been tested, proven, and worked to make it there, that far in front of you. Also, are there trade-in offers down the track? 2, 3, 4 years, you might think, oh, I'd rather upgrade my tools every few years. Some guys do, some guys hold them for 6 years, 7 years, 8 years. Whatever suits you, there's an option there for you. Call in, trade up, we'll offer, trade in your old tool, pay a price, get a free update period, and step up to the new level. Important to know, be aware of your backup level and support when buying a scan tool. We're constantly talking to guys who are buying equipment, plenty of functions, don't understand something, got nowhere to go, or getting no answers. So with ourselves there, we're there to provide you with a good level of backup and technical support, by email, by phone, by text a lot of the time, by website. There's a members area here showing on the site. Once you get a tool, you'll get free access to the technical support area. And inside there are a lot of these functions that you might not have done before. You might do once every few months, or a vehicle's finally come in. You need to do a Ford parameter reset on a FG Falcon. So if you've never done it before, you can log onto the members area, phone, smartphone, internet, go down to the area. It'll give you the full step-by-step guide with screenshots, exactly how to follow that particular process through on the car. Print it off, go out to the car, follow it step by step, away you go. There's also videos. You see the video section that's up there. This is an example of one of the videos playing. The lane departure warning system calibration. Not too many of us would have done that, I'd expect, on a Hyundai Santa Fe, for instance. If you don't know, log into the video section, play the video. Just watch it. It gives you exactly targets to use, distance to move them away from the bumper, and then pressing the buttons on the tools. It's all there in front of you to train you along the way. And there's no additional. It's all part of your purchasing. We'd love to say the software is perfect, but the program is absolutely enormous, and the OEM tools aren't perfect. You get the odd software glitch or bug on an OEM tool, they're going to come across into an aftermarket tool. The important thing is you've got somewhere to go when you encounter that. You can, with ourselves, you can contact us, you can, we'll guide you through log file reports, you can capture that detail, get it to us, we get it to the software team, and they will make the decision whether they can fix it up, modify it, send you information, send you new software, and you can go and retest on the vehicle. Rod, who's up on the stage with us today, he had one recently. It was a Honda CR-V, and it had an item of data which Rod was suspect that it was not reading correctly. It was moving, but it wasn't reading correctly in Rod's professional opinion. He's looked at it, called us up, requested the information, he sent it through, said, oh, look, it should be right, but it might not be. Let's get it checked. Sent it across to the team, and they've picked it. Yes, he's picked the problem. There's a bug. Within a few hours, we had software developed, modified, back to Rod via email, loaded it to his machine, back out the car, and testing with the correct software to get the right result on the car. Nearly finished. And just finally, just being ready for the future. So there's a number of items that we need to be looking at ahead as far as future diagnostics. Some of them are listed up there. So we've got J2534. Look, that's not for the future. We should be doing that now. If you're not doing that now, you should be looking at doing that now. We should be talking about it. There's areas of J2534 we can do now. It's not going away. Eventually, there's going to be a time you're going to have to take that step. Other networks, are the other networks covered? FlexRay, we spoke about FlexRay. FlexRay is in a latest model Kia, not just your BMWs and your Audis. You've got Asian models covering this now. We've got automotive Ethernet and FlexRay, which were considered to try and bring in higher speeds for communication networks, but they've decided to go towards this flexible data rate CAN system, which is not changing the actual system, it's just enhancing the speed by using a protocol controller. That's what's coming. A couple of years' time, 2 or 3 years' time, it'll be standard on all cars. The idea is to speed up that transfer rate. We need to make sure our tools are capable of doing this. The beauty of this one is it's developed by the guys who are making the Hyundai Kia systems. So they're well aware of exactly what those changes need to be. Also looking ahead, we've got manufacturers committing to the connected car concept, connecting via internet with the car, with things, home, that sort of thing. We've got autonomous driving systems, electric vehicle technology, Apple CarPlay, a lot of exciting things that are still to come, coming into the diagnostic tools. And as technology on today's vehicles is enhanced so quickly, we can't just sit back and rely on equipment which is not up to that level. We have to get there and we have to move with it. It's our job to make sure that you're buying the best equipment to suit your needs. So if you're unsure, come and find us downstairs. I'd love to have a chat, give you plenty of information. We'll be available down there on the Bursons and Repco stands downstairs to be able to assist. Thanks very much.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
Thanks. Right. Hello, everybody. First question. Who of you have not heard of Autologic? 2 people. Fantastic. That's what I want to see. I've got quite a few slides to get through. Oh, what's happened there? Have I done the... Sorry. There is a button that we're not supposed to press, and I've just pressed it. So how many of you have work on European cars? So about 50% of you. So the other 50% that are not working on Euro cars, why are you not working on Euro cars? They're utter piles of rubbish. You make lots of money out of them, and that's why we're in business, is to make money, plain and simple. So just to begin with, today's challenges in our workshop that we're facing, particularly with the Euro brands, is they're very complex. They tend to lead the market innovators of complex systems, and that makes diagnosing faults with them more difficult for us. Keeping up with the changes, okay, so that again is something that is a challenge to us in our workshops, and You as business owners, workshop controllers, you find it very difficult to find the time to support your technicians that are trying to repair those cars. So again, it just descends us into the challenges of what we're facing. And also our customer expectations and remaining profitable in doing all of that. How many of you say that you're profitable in doing that? Hands up. Not many. But those of you that are, that's good. That's great. So what are the customer expectations? What do the vehicle owners say to us? You just plug the computer in, mate, it tells you the answer. That's what they say. And we all know that's utter rubbish. So what do? We plug in the scan tool and we roll the diagnostic dice because we don't really have the knowledge or understanding of the problem. And that causes us to scratch our heads for several hours, wasting time and effort in trying to fix that car. Customer is then screaming at us down the phone, why is my car not ready? I'm picking it up at 5 o'clock. I need to go and get the kids from their school, after-school activities, whatever. Puts us under more pressure to the point where we just don't want to bother anymore. And the point is, if we're not making money at it, if we're not profitable, there is no point in doing it, plain and simple. So, news, the tool does not actually fix the fault. Is it profitable? Always, sometimes, no. Ask yourselves that question. If it isn't profitable, or if it's sometimes profitable, I would say you need to start looking at where you can make it profitable. Even the OE tools do not fix the fault. They simply read the information from the car, and it's how you interpret that fault or follow the information off that tool to get to the bottom of the issue. Again, can be very difficult and complex. And we're often left floundering on difficult diagnosis. We all agree, yeah? Everybody agrees with that? To the point where, like I said earlier, it would have been more profitable for you to give the customer $100 and tell him, sorry, I can't support you. Because you will have spent 4, 5, 6 hours, which the average hourly rate is $100 an hour, I'm guessing, across Australia, depending where you are. You potentially are throwing $200, $300, $400 down the drain. You're better off doing other jobs rather than wasting your time on something that you can't get to the bottom of quickly. So, breaking news. It's not the tool. It's the knowledge of the vehicle brand behind the tool that fixes the most complex faults. Hands up those that agree with that. Hands up those that do not agree with that. Nobody put their hand up. Great. So what do we do? And this picture here was one of our ads, and I quite like this picture because it's a classic example of us as technicians. We've got all the equipment around our feet. We've got scopes. We've got 14 scan tools. We've got test probes, test lights. And we stood there scratching our head because we can't get to the bottom of that problem, and it's burning into our time, and time is money. So how do Autologic do this and help you and speed up that diagnosis to help you become more profitable? So the first thing we do is it's a cloud-connected device, which means it's permanently connected to the internet, okay? And that connection gives our technicians, our master technicians that are supporting you, our software engineers that are supporting you, it gives them direct access into that device in the most complex of problems. So they can actually log in to that device and see what you're seeing and help you get to the bottom of that problem, should we need to. The other big advantage is the tool will extract the information from the car, we all know that, but at the touch of a button, we can send a report from that vehicle, so I'm talking of a fault report, into the cloud and back to our technicians who are specialists in that brand, and they can make contact with you via telephone or via email to guide you to fix that problem. And how do they do that? Well, this is just a quick slide on a section of our database. So when you send that report through, it basically pops up on our database like so. They click on the links, so there's the information there, the symptoms, the quick test details. They click on the report, and they can see what you're seeing off that car. So they've got a complete fault report and vehicle information to understand what you're seeing, plus the symptoms of the fault that you've given them. Any pictures or images, they can see those if you've sent them through. The tool has the capability of taking pictures and videos and allowing you to attach them. And again, the more information they've got in front of them, the quicker it is to speed up the diagnosis. In addition to which, when that vehicle is fixed, the system will send you a fault summary, and which you can convert from a credit value into a dollar value and charge the customer accordingly so you remain profitable in that job. Communication is key to that, and there's 4 ways of communicating to the master technicians within Autologic, and that's globally, not just in Australia. It will be able to be picked up globally by those master technicians. The first one is through Assist Portal, which is the button on the actual Assist Plus device. We do have an app called Assist Mobile, which is downloadable, which each technician has access to through his own username and password. We also have the ability to access it through Assist Online, which is basically off your PC. Again, they enter through their own username and password. And finally, Assist Call. But Assist Call is picking up the telephone and making a call. It's a bit old hat, isn't it? We don't want to be sat waiting on the phone. We just want to get the information through, and when the technician is available and free to speak to you, he will pick the phone up and call you. But we still give you the option to call if you need to. And we go on that journey with you. We go all the way from the fault that's presented on that vehicle to that vehicle being fixed. Okay? It doesn't matter how easy or how complex that is, those master technicians will travel with you through that journey. So in summary, you basically connect the tool, you collect all the fault codes, information and the data from the car, and you submit that through, and then you message or talk to the master technician. You order the parts, if necessary, to fix the problem that's presented on that vehicle, and they will guide you through that fitment. If there's some adaptation that needs to be carried out, they'll inform you that that needs to be done to prevent any future comebacks from the customer, and then also will be charged, as I said, properly via the report summary that you get. So that makes us more profitable in diagnostics, plain and simple, because it's taking away the pain that you suffer day to day in diagnosing vehicle problems. So I've gone through that pretty quickly, but I want to end on something for you to think about. So I'm afraid if you have a sleepless night, I'm very sorry about that, but I think we all need to know about what's happening. And Colin touched on it briefly at the beginning. Basically, manufacturers today have cars on the production line that do not have an OBD2 connector. That is fact. So what tool today in the aftermarket has the capability to communicate to these vehicles? So if you're looking at buying a tool, we need to be thinking about the future. So if they're on the production line today, we're probably going to be seeing those cars in 2 to 3 years' time. Do we have the equipment to be able to communicate to them? I can assure you that the Assist Plus has that technology, has the ability to communicate to those vehicles and support you. That's it. Thank you.
Thanks, Matt. Thanks, Matt. Thank you. Thanks, Matt.
Okay, so you can hear me okay? So a long time ago, I started getting into diagnostics pretty seriously. I owned my own workshop, just a motor mechanic, no electronics background. But I saw an opening in my area that there was everybody was fixing cars, doing typical mechanical type repairs, but there was nobody really there to take on that electronics, diagnostics, scan tools, all that sort of stuff. So about 8 or so years ago, I decided to move the direction of my business and put the emphasis on that. Since then, I've purchased a lot of scan tools and diagnostic equipment, and I've found in a fairly short period of time, I started to discover that it's just not possible for one person to know all PID values in live data on different modules on different cars. There's just too many cars, too many modules, too many PIDs. It's just simply not possible. So the theory behind this, Firstly, I started out just simply doing this at home, at work, on my PC. I just had a folder on my desktop and I just store live data from known good cars, waveforms, anything like that. What I'd decided real early in the piece though was that it's not beneficial for me just to keep that all to myself and not share that or not make that available in a global sort of a way where, well, I shouldn't say global, but in a fashion where everybody can access it and we can all contribute to it, share it, build it, and basically network and share. So this is where I gave up on the idea of keeping it on the work computer and created the website. And this is where scan data was created. So I'll just, so this is the TAT page. You can see we've got a link there in the middle for scan data. So this is the scan data site. We've got, it's growing all the time. We've got a lot of tiles there. These are all the vehicles that we've started adding data for. We've got quite a bit there, you can see. The idea is whenever you've got a vehicle in your workshop, you know it's in good condition, low kilometres, no codes, no drivability complaints, everything's good. Capture that data, keep it somewhere so you can, later on down the track when you've got a bad vehicle, you can pull up that information, take that out, print it out, take it out to the car and compare it, your suspect vehicle to the known good data and hopefully find something. So just to show you here, we've clicked on a Holden, on the Holden section. This is showing you a bit of a list, which the idea is to try to build up not just engine data. We never know what's going to fail down the track. We could have problems with body control, mobiliser systems, any control unit we might have problems with. So it's very hard to predict what you're going to have problems with. So the theory is try to collect as much known good data as you possibly can. You can see here we've got a lot of key on engine off idle 2000, which obviously if you think about that, that's going to be coming from the powertrain, but we are adding to it with other things. For example, where's my pointer? You can see here, a couple here are waveforms. So these here would be other control modules with data. So it's diverse. We're not just building, well, I'm not just building just control module data on its own. We're trying to build as much as we can in waveforms as well. If I just show you here, we've got a couple along here, and these are all different control modules for this Commodore here. When you open up any of these, so here's one here. This is an old one, but it still gives you the idea. It's an old 98 VT Commodore. This is a known good vehicle, no problems. This information was recorded, and as I said before, you can just simply print that out. There's a print button at the top there. Print that out, take that out, compare it to your vehicle. The whole idea is, as I said right from the start, I don't know anybody smart enough who could possibly know what every PID value is in every module, in every car. I just don't see how that's humanly possible. So if we can have this huge build-up of database of waveforms, PIDs, the whole works, it's going to make your life a lot easier. Now, on the subject of what we're actually here for today is trying to decide what sort of equipment we need to buy. What scan tool do we buy? Well, this is one part of the scan data site. So as well as having that access to that known good data, we've also got a facility on the site where you can go in and look at equipment that other members on the TAT have written reviews on. So you can see here we've got a list of quite a few tools. You can see we've got, if I go down, I can go to that. So we've got one of the reviews here, we've got AutoLogic. So we've had three members at that time that had written a bit of a review on the AutoLogic product. We've got a bit of an explanation of what AutoLogic is, what it covers, and we've also done the same with G-Scan 2. We can see there we've had several reviews, we've got a star rating. The idea of that is, like we've said, what we're here for today is to determine what is the best tools to own. It's very hard on your own in a shop to try to get this information. If we can get a group or a network of people like the TAT team that can all contribute with reviews, it makes it a hell of a lot easier for us guys when we've got to spend that big money on these sort of tools. So that's the idea of the review part there. There's just a bit of an idea there of how the reviews are laid out, a bit of a write-up from them and a star rating. and that just equates at the top there to an average. So here's, I'm trying to keep this short because we are running out of time. So I'm just going to finish with this, just to give you an idea of how scan data can be utilised on a daily basis in your workshop. So this was a Camry that I had in the shop a little while back, and the customer had a complaint with the check engine light on. The check engine light's off there at the moment because I just had cleared the codes just prior to doing this. So you can see here, if you look at the fuel trims, total trims, if you look, we've got, where's my pointer? So this is long-term and short-term trims here. So if we add these two values here, we had a total of about 14% of fuel trim positive correction, so slightly lean. But that's at idle. Now if I raise the idle up here, I raise the engine speed up a little bit here, have a look at how positive those trims have gotten. We've got a total fuel trim of 43%. So we've got a lean condition going on there. So we can start, suspecting different things, but we could also go to scan data and we could do a quick search. So I did a search here for the Camry and that engine, and these are the results we've got come back. I opened up one of those, it just happened to be one that I'd uploaded. So pull up that information and we have a look at what we've got in the known good. So this is the known good off the scan data side. Now I've just written down here, so the known good is 3.2. I'm just going to cut straight to it. I'm not going to beat around the bush and show you what other things I did. Going through it all, finally spotted in the live PIDs that we had a 3.12 grams per second on the known good, and the bad one from the previous slide back, if I come back a bit, you'll see we had 1.7 grams per second there. Okay, now a smart fella that's doing this all day, every day, this is a real simple example. Most of us have got a pretty good handle on math sensors these days, but you take it further. Think about so many other PIDs out there that we just couldn't possibly know what the values should be. I've just used the math sensor as just as a simplistic example of where this could be utilised. So we can clearly see very quickly and easily here that there's a huge difference. So one of the other features we've got in the scan data site is some programs. I've written all of these programs. Some of these are automotive specific. Some of them drift a little bit away from the automotive realm, but still handy in a day-to-day workshop environment. Oops. So this is the one we're going to use here. So we've already determined that there's a variation in a MAF sensor. We see that it should have been around 3.12, we had 1.7. But that could be air leaks, could be valve timing problems, could be blocked exhaust or something like that. There's anything that's going to stop that amount of air that's passing through. So the next step, what we might want to try is downloading our MAF sensor calculator and VE tester. So what I did was with a trusty G-scan, I selected 3 PIDs. I grabbed the engine RPM, the intake air temp, and the airflow. Went for a hard, wide open throttle drive around the block, safely of course. So what I did was took off in first gear, tromped on it, almost to red line, through into second gear, got as much air as I could possibly get to come through that engine, and we can see there that the most amount of air at 6,400, I reached 6,400 RPM. At 6,400 RPM, I got 86 grams of air. So we put that into the MAF sensor calculator with the engine, the air temperature, our barrow. So having the air temperature in the barrow allows us to calculate air density. We need to know air density. Right, so by putting in the air temp and the barrow, we know that. We've put in our airflow, our engine size, and that rev. And we can see here that our calculated MAF value should have been, based on those engine specs and the air conditions, we should have seen about 121 grams per second of air. But our actual, what we saw out on the road, was 86. And that 86 was 33% less than what we should have seen. So our volumetric efficiency was quite low, and the fact was we had 33% variation in what we wanted to see from that MAF sensor and what we really saw from it. So that was enough for me to determine that MAF sensor was crooked. The reason I could determine that is because the fuel trims told us. We weren't pumping enough air through the engine, we saw that. So once that air passed through the engine, the oxygen sensor saw that there was a discrepancy in what our air-fuel ratio was, the correction was made, and that's why we had that very high positive fuel trim value that we had. So a MAF sensor was replaced, we put it in, And as soon as I started it up, before I did anything, didn't reset anything, and look at what we've got there straight away. We've got our short-term trims compensating for our long-term trim. So a learning on a Toyota, learning is our long-term trim, and the other one is our short-term. So you can see if you add those two values together, we now only have a variation of fuel trim of 0.8. So we've nailed it. We've solved the problem. And you can see there that we're now up to 3.43 grams per second at idle. So I went for another quick drive just because I love playing with my math sensor calculator. So we hit it hard again, and this time we got up to 120 grams per second under almost the same engine RPM. So putting that into the math sensor calculator off the scan data site now, we've got all the values we wanted to see. We've only got 0.2% variation from the calculated to the actual value. So that pretty well nailed it for me. That's it, guys. So that's our stand. If you want to come down, I've got a heap of stuff I like to explain about this. I'm quite proud of Scan Data. I've invested many hours, days, weeks, years of my life into this. So if you just want to come down and have a talk to me at the stand, we're at D41. Really happy to talk to any guys about it. We've actually got a special on this expo, over this expo period. $199 for a subscription to TAT. Yeah, I'm plugging TAT. Come and see TAT. I'll explain everything on the Scan Data site. Any questions you got? And great prices at the moment.
Rod. Thanks, buddy. Thank you very much.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate that.
Ladies and gentlemen, this guy said to me yesterday, oh, I'm a bit anxious about standing up there talking to these people. I said, mate, you love what you do. You're passionate about what you do. Just tell them their story. Did you just tell the story? Absolutely. Did you get value from that? Okay. That's what we're trying to deliver for you, value in these seminars.